Hello, comrades, brothers and sisters, under consumers, all. I want to talk today about the show-off problem. Human beings have to develop a hierarchy. Wolves do that by snarling and biting each other. We do it by buying fancy cars and fancy clothes and whatever else is inaccessible to most people, because then someone will look at us and say, hey, you're fancy. You must know what you're doing. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to give you money. And when I was a kid, there was this guy down the block, Mr. Leo, who had this shiny black Cadillac. This was a while ago. We were all really impressed. And this is the guy you were going to respect. You were going to hire him. You were going to go along with what he wanted. And at the same time, there wasn't the internet. So if a community was doing something stupid, they paid the price. It was local. Things were done locally. If you ruined the water, you'd pay the price. And if the guy was showing off too much, that ruined it for everyone else, and the locals wouldn't like that. But now the advertisements make it clear that if you don't have X, Y, and Z, you're failing. And that's gone global. And that is a little terrifying. There's this image of a penalty box car and the cramped Soviet apartment and depression and deprived kids. And now the show-off can really, really do some damage. And there's the idea, hey, he can have it, so why shouldn't I as well? If I get a Prius in order to be good for the environment and I get made fun of, then how much am I really helping things? Do I want to? Now, quick note, if you get a Prius and you hypermile and you annoy everybody, well, not great that the people buy. I've had a Prius, fantastic cars. I've also had a friend drive up to my house and I wasn't thinking, and he was driving a Prius, and I'm like, oh God, what does this person want? This person wants to complain about something. So they have a stigma. What's the solution? Previous solutions are sumptuary laws, where you have to pay in order to get the fancy stuff, and they're taxed. That's fancy stuff are really highly taxed, velvet hats, things like that. In Montreal, you see the Orthodox Jews, and you can tell without being a part of that what they use to show off. They have these, I'm guessing, beaver hats, big round hats that they walk around in, and when it's raining they put a plastic bag on them, and other than that they don't do a lot of fancy things. So they're showing off with an expensive thing that is cruel, but it's not the same as driving a giant SUV and having an enormous house that you have to heat and all of that. Maybe. And you could also be virtuous. That's something that used to be much more popular. You would be a hermit, or you would have vows of poverty and you would help other people. That has really fallen out of fashion. Don't know what to say about that. And you could also live like modern Amish. What if everyone drove key cars, you know, those tiny little Japanese cars, and then no one else would be endangered because they drive a big truck. And you couldn't, what if you couldn't drive over 30 miles an hour? Well, yes, it would take you twice as long to get everywhere, and we'd have to work at working from home and all that. And I know how that sounds. You're cringing now. And the big problem is, if you're living simply, can you not be mocked for doing that? Can you not look poor? Can you not feel poor? That's really important. Can you get a mate for yourself and do well for your kids without them feeling disadvantaged and poor? Can you be respected and be given good jobs? Or is the fact that you're driving an old Prius a sign that you're broke and make poor decisions? And can you be happy with what you have? Or do you look around your apartment, which needs a new kitchen or something like that, and get depressed? And I'm not asking these things idly. I'm asking them because they're things we need to figure out if we're not able to power through the current problems we have with technology, which is a distinct possibility. We may get fusion, and then all of this will be silly. We'll be like, get the new kitchen, it's all good. And so that's the big question. If the system works and we keep finding better tech in order to reduce the environmental damage, we're fine. But if we stop the system that we have, will the finances collapse? Will we hit a depression? That's what a lot of people will say, and maybe they're right. Would things get a lot worse for everybody? If so, then maybe we ought to start thinking about it a little bit earlier. Tell me what you think.